when it announced its plans to ditch expensive commercial software in favour of open source alternatives. Tonight in the S-Files, we're taking a look at the reasoning behind this decision and whether open source is a secure alternative. Open source software has been around for some time now, yet most computer users only use proprietary or commercial applications like Microsoft. In the past, the limited distribution of open source was attributed to its poor security and usability, but the technology has evolved to such an extent that this has largely been disproved. Here in South Africa, the State Information Technology Agency, SITA, feels the arguments for open source systems are so compelling that it has decided to adopt the technology across most of government's software requirements.
On the face value, open source software is simply just cheap, easy to use, and in fact makes it a sense in IT where the response times have to be so fast. It allows everything else that we've been looking for that we couldn't get from proprietary software.
The basic difference between open source and commercial software lies in the availability of the underlying source codes. Commercial vendors keep the codes to themselves and only sell the rights to use their software, whereas open source communities put the source code out into public domain.
And that allows us the freedom, the ease, and in fact, the dynamism to be able to change the software to suit our needs.
Some argue that this ability to customize the software can be problematic when upgrading and maintaining the system.
As soon as one starts to customize a piece of software, you actually change it from the thing that you originally had. One needs to recognize that. And if you want to be able to ensure a convenient upgrade path from the provider, those changes hinder that process, that upgrade process. So there could be massive hidden costs that one would encounter as a result of upgrading a piece of software.
We have a development wing within our own company that's already there, people who've been paid for years for doing the very work, but they couldn't actually change anything that's proprietary because it's licensed.
The fact that the source codes are freely available in open source have also sparked concerns around security.
If you look at the hacker attacks in general, commercial systems or proprietary systems as probably as much, if not more, and under attack by these intruders. Where the benefit is swung the open source route is because there are such a wider body of actual providers of services and developers, the actual responsiveness to plugging these holes and to fixing these problems is much more responsive on the one hand and is much more reactive with much shorter timelines than in the commercial sense.
Government also expects to save quite a lot of money by switching to open source. It has currently, over the past 3 years, saved more than 10 million rand piloting the software in some of its departments, and is expected to save as much as 1.5 billion rand over the coming financial year.
That in itself is a very huge debate and a very sensitive and a contentious issue as to how those cost savings are actually derived at. Do you only look at the initial saving from a license revenue point of view, or do you also look at the subsequent savings in actually maintaining those solutions?
One needs to consider that there are large elements of the South African government and the public sector that are very heavily invested in Microsoft software, very heavily invested in the sense that core to their business processes, they have applications that run on the Microsoft platforms. And it's very difficult for them to just move away without incurring huge costs in having those things rewritten.
Well, that brings this evening's program to an end. Thanks for watching. Next week, we'll bring more IT security issues to the fore, so stay tuned for that. From me, Jane van Renen, and the S-Files team, good night.